All right. Hi, Reddit. I am Steve Huffman, co-founder and CEO, joined today by Jen Wong, our COO, and Drew Valero, our CFO. And we're here to answer your questions. We just posted our second quarter results. We took a couple questions in our earnings call, and then we're trying to get through more or less the rest of them here for you. Our goal with this is, of course, to um, answer questions for you the same way we would the institutional or professional investors. And so hope you find this useful. We do appreciate all the great questions that we got. So um, let's just dive in. Okay, so the first question was, can you talk about your efforts to onboard new users, making it even more friendly to larger audiences? How would you best advise us to advocate for the unique and authentic value proposition Reddit provides? Okay, so broadly, I kind of look at this in two dimensions. Um, we have great content and communities for most new users, particularly in English. And so a lot of our efforts over the last couple of years, which are working, have been focused on more effectively revealing the content and communities that we have. So this is our work on onboarding, on community discovery, on community recommendations. Maybe you've seen those in your home feeds. Um, those are all really kind of working pretty well. And you've probably also seen, if you've been on Reddit a while, noticed that Reddit is more of a kind of a home feed bespoke experience, personalized experience for you versus the one size fits all popular feed that was really the core of the Reddit product for the first 15 years. That transition's been really important. And really that's just means Reddit is more relevant to new users, which drives growth. Now, the second dimension to this is how do we grow outside of English? And so one of the most exciting things we're doing here is machine translation using large language models. So we've built that. We were doing this long test in French in France. That went very well. So now that's now in GA or general availability, which basically means the vast majority of users in France speaking French can see the machine translated content. We call that the immersive experience. And now we're moving on to other languages. And so that I think will be has the potential to be a real accelerant growing outside of the United States. And then as far as how you can advocate for Reddit, first, thank you for doing that. Here's how I do it. I describe Reddit as a place with, where whatever you're into or whatever you're going through, you can find on Reddit. Small decisions, what should I watch tonight? Big decisions like where should I live or should I take this job or how should I handle this relationship? They're all on Reddit. But I also tell people that you can be yourself on Reddit, truly yourself, in a way that can be difficult elsewhere online or on social media because your Reddit persona is not attached to your real world persona. And I think that separation allows people to be more authentic and sometimes more vulnerable than they would be elsewhere. And I think that's one of the things that makes Reddit special. Okay, next question. There's a couple of questions that I'll summarize as any plans to modify the award system display and expand to more awards? Short answer, yes. So we got the kind of basic award system kind of relaunched on top of the new kind of gold payments platform. So that's out. The next step is to continue to iterate on that. So, improve the UI, fiddle with the UI, more awards. Just kind of keep going down that path. But we're also looking to build more products on top of the gold system. So this could be things like subreddit subscriptions, for example. But I think, got a lot of work to do there. But we're happy we got the foundation there, but I think, plenty to keep us busy. Okay, next questions. Is there a priority around increasing conversion of logged out DAU to logged in DAU, or are you viewing those as two separate target markets? Great question. So it depends where the user is coming from. If it's a logged out user from third-party search, they have specific needs. They're probably on Reddit getting an answer to their question. And so the way we approach that now is we let them do so. You get the answer on Reddit, you go about your day. They're not necessarily looking to join a community in that moment. We used to be more aggressive. Users coming from search, maybe you remember this, on mobile web, we're very aggressive, like download the app, log in. Um, it didn't work. It was not a great experience. It was just making people mad. So we've basically rolled that back. And now we think of if you're coming from search, get the answer, go on with your day, learn that Reddit has the answers. Now, if you're a logged out user coming to the opening the app directly or visiting reddit.com directly, those users we work very hard to retain because they're coming potentially to be a Reddit user to join communities. So we help them find relevant communities. We encourage them to log in, and we work really hard to make sure they see relevant content. So hopefully they return. So it really kind of depends, not necessarily logged out, logged in, but why are they coming to Reddit? And if they're coming with the potential to join Reddit, that's the group we really focus on. The good news is we've moved new user retention for that cohort pretty consistently for the last year, and that's what's driving the overall user growth. Okay, so a couple more questions on user growth. The question is, these growth numbers are so high that begs to question whether the current usage run rate is sustainable or if it's being driven by seasonal events. For example, in 2022, we saw very modest WAU/Q growth numbers. Are we at risk of not being able to have uh, uh, negative growth next year, or at risk of not growing next year, I think is what you're asking. Um, the second part of the question is, considering past US election cycles and election cycles elsewhere in the world, can you provide some color about how usage of Reddit changes post elections? Um, can I say that people come for the election discussion and stay for the memes? Okay, very good questions. So the major driver of Reddit growth, we believe, is product quality. We've grown over 1 million users 11 of the past 12 months. We don't usually grow seasonally or in response to major events. Yes, like individual subreddits do. For example, the Olympics subreddit right now is very, very popular, and outside of the Olympics, it's very, very quiet. That's super common across lots of subreddits. There's a TV show, there's a video game launch, there's something newsworthy. But when you zoom out, they tend to, because we have so many subreddits, those subreddits having a moment tend to smooth out when you look at overall usage or traffic growth. Um, and so, yeah, there's always something happening on Reddit is the short version of our answer there. We're happy because right now we're growing for the right reasons, which is quality, new user retention, which makes us confident looking forward. So as for the post-election traffic, you actually almost made a joke that we make a lot at Reddit, but it's not even really a joke. What we say is people come for the cats and stay for the community. That is, they come for the memes, the news, the headlines, but eventually they find communities that they connect with, and then they can become a Redditor. And so we see this pattern play out over and over again. My experience with politics specifically, for better or for worse, it never really goes away. And I say this as the creator of the politics subreddit. So yeah, it heats up during election seasons, but then my experience, it just stays hot. I think any reason to be on Reddit, enjoying the content, is a great reason to be on Reddit. It's good for our business. Okay, now there's a bunch of questions on the data licensing deals. So I'll summarize them and I'll try to get into the specifics. How are Reddit's data licensing deals structured? Can partners walk away with models trained on Reddit's data? What does the future of partnerships or growth look like? Okay, so big picture, we like Reddit content being out there. We like having relationships. But what's changed in the last year is we can't assume, and we don't assume um, that third parties crawling Reddit and taking Reddit's content is in the best interest of our users or our platform. We need to be intentional about this. So that's why we released the public content policy a few months ago, basically setting the rules of engagement, which is we're open for business. We'll do commercial deals. We'll do non-commercial deals, for example, for research or nonprofits or folks like Internet Archive. We'll do big deals. We'll do small deals. But we need to be very intentional about who we're working with and put some guardrails on where our data goes and what it's used for. The deals that we've done so far, the partnerships we've done so far, they're medium term. which I think is right. So they're not 1 year, but they're not too long. I think this gives both sides the opportunity to adapt to these relationships and to this new market. Um, there was a question about blocking everybody but Google. I do want to clarify um, that we did not block everybody but Google. We also have a relationship with OpenAI, with Internet Archive, with researchers, and we continue to be in talks with basically everyone. So again, I think more relationships is better for the internet, is better for the ecosystem, but with guardrails to protect user privacy, user identities, our business, I think all of these things are really important. In terms of risk to Reddit, people taking our data once, using it to train a model, and then ending the relationship. What we've seen is that folks need up-to-date Reddit content. A search engine that stopped crawling years ago isn't that useful, and it's the same with training. So up-to-date information is valuable, and that's really what we're providing. Okay, now we're going to switch to, I think, a few questions for Jen and Drew. Jen, how about you just narrate and answer your own questions? I think that'll be a little bit easier. So Jen, over to you.
Okay, first question. In terms of revenue growth, do you think there is more potential to increase the ARPU of the existing user base, or is the revenue growth going to come from increasing the number of active users? Good question. In short, I think both are opportunities. So we manage to revenue growth and user growth, and ARPU is just the math. It's actually an output. We don't have somebody who manages ARPU. So I expect that it's going to bounce around when we have more of one or the other, but we do aim to grow ARPU and users over the long term. Now, I do think we have a lot of opportunity to grow ARPU and users. Users, I think we have a really unlimited addressable market. We're just at the beginning of our international journey, non-English, and Steve talked about that for machine translation. I think we're very optimistic about scaling that experience. And in general, we have a lot of headroom for users because Reddit's experience is universal. We also have headroom in ARPU. So if you think about the drivers of ARPU, one might be engagement, right? So while new Reddit users, they may start lower on engagement, the Reddit vintages get better year on year as users spend more time on Reddit, which means more ARPU potential as new users season. The second is ad value. So we can continue to improve the performance of our ad platform and the value that advertisers get, the return on their ad spend, and also bring in more demand, more advertisers competing in our auction that'll increase the value of each ad unit. And then finally, while we don't think of ad load as a lever we go to, there are spaces on Reddit that we haven't designed ads for yet that are an opportunity. Search, even some of the video experiences, even conversation placements, the conversation page. So that's an opportunity. I will say that the bedrock of our inventory are logged in users. So if revenue is growing faster than the growth of logged in users, we know that we're growing the value of our most valuable users. Okay. Drew, I'll pass it to you.
Sure. Next question comes and it says, when is profitability projected? And so my thoughts on that are twofold. One is we look at profitability on both a non-GAAP and a GAAP basis. On a non-GAAP basis, we're profitable today. You just saw in the second quarter results we released, adjusted EBITDA was about $40 million. It was $10 million in the first quarter. And in the third quarter, we guided to 40 to 60 million. So we are profitable on a non-GAAP basis. On a GAAP basis, we were not profitable in the second quarter. We lost $10 million. The good news is that we made significant progress year over year. We had lost 41 million in the prior year, so significant progress. In terms of when we will be profitable on a GAAP basis, we can't. Today we forecast our business for revenue and adjusted EBITDA. We're not forecasting our business at the GAAP level yet or the net income level. But what we do like in the business right now are the trends you saw from our second quarter release. We're getting about 75 cents on every dollar to the adjusted EBITDA line, which is good to see. We got 76 cents in the dollar in the second quarter and 76 cents for the first half of the year. So overall, the flow through has been terrific. I think for us to kind of cover that last 10 million, which is what we lost here in the second quarter, It's going to be a combination of continued cost control, which over the past 4 quarters, our expenses have been growing, high single digits, low double digits, and then revenue growth. We just came off a quarter where we grew 54%. We'll see how things play out in the back half of the year. But really, at the end of the day, it's going to be a combination of both of those things that will make us profitable on a GAAP basis. I will tell you, it is something that's important to the management team here. Again, we haven't circled to date, but it is something that is one of the things that we would like to become as a company, as a public company. Okay. So in terms of the next question, could you please include the adjusted earnings per share in your press release? It's pretty standard now for earnings and makes it easy to compare. Okay, I think it's a good question. We did. So my short answer is we'll take a look at it. My sense is our share count isn't moving enough, and adjusted EBITDA probably is what you're looking at. But again, we'll take a look at it. We did discuss it. We did all our filings from scratch just a couple of quarters ago. That's one of the things that you do is becoming a public company. We did look at and discuss internally whether we wanted to do adjusting earnings per share. We decided to just do adjusted EBITDA. We think that's very standard in the industry. Adjusting earnings per share may be a little less standard, but it is something we can take a look at. I think it's most relevant for companies that are really moving their share counts a lot. You may have seen in my commentary in the second quarter, our share count didn't really move much at all in the second quarter. So de facto adjusted earnings really are just the changes in EBITDA. So anyway, we'll take a look at it and see if we want to make any changes. But I think overall adjusted EBITDA is probably going to get you what you want in terms of measuring the performance of the company quarter over quarter or year over year. Okay, let me turn things over to Jen on the next question.
Okay, great. There's a question which reads, are there any specific details regarding AI-related revenue? So on our call, we mentioned that other revenue, which is where the data licensing revenue sits, grew over 690% year over year in Q2. And that was primarily driven by data licensing agreements signed in the first half of the year, the 2 large ones that Steve mentioned, plus a series of marketing intelligence partners like Cision and Sprinkler that we also announced. We worked through the head and the torso on many of the marketing intelligence partners, and we aren't focused on the tail. And I will say that we have low visibility into more AI data licensing deals, but we continue to be in discussions with all the key players. Okay, next question on ads. Any plans for tap to play, GIF, video ads, entertaining ads would be engaging? Any plans to improve ad targeting? Seems to be better for both advertisers and users, maybe opt in by the contributor program. Not sure about that last piece, but I can talk to video ads and ads in general. So a large portion of our ad creative today is in the video format. It's autoplay in the feed, and it's click to play in the conversation placements. And they're used in service of brand awareness objectives or even performance objectives. So where somebody's looking to acquire a new customer for purchase or add to cart. And video consumption is growing on Reddit. But today, video ads where advertisers pay for a completed view of a video ad is a small part of our business. And as we develop a consumer experience that's more video immersive, which is something that we are thinking about, this can become a bigger opportunity. So that's something that we continue to think about, given the natural affinity for video on the platform. Regarding ad targeting, 90% of the targeting on Reddit is first party, using interest and context. And we'll continue to improve targeting through stronger signal collection from the conversion API, from partners integrating that signal and sending it back to our models. And as we grow demand in our auction and the number of advertisers, we'll also have broader diversity to pick from. So there'll be more opportunities for ad relevance. We're continuing to work on improving things like how we map interest to subreddits, which don't always have obvious names or which cross multiple interest topics, and that'll give us an even better footprint of targeting across all of Reddit's communities. Okay, Steve, let me pass it back to you.
Okay, thank you both. Last question. With Reddit's increase in popularity, its user base is much more valuable to target by brands, political campaigns, and even state actors using AI chatbots and inauthentic account farms. What are you doing to prevent this and preserve Reddit's value of having authentic options or authentic opinions? Look, great question. So first, Reddit is more naturally inoculated from this sort of manipulation because of the community in voting structure. Things don't become popular on Reddit unless they're made popular by a community of people voting it that way. Now, that said, it is a real threat. We put a lot of effort into this on the back end. It's an arms race. The bad guys get better, and then we get better, and we go back and forth. And so, like, it's forever work. We have a team dedicated to this and have for a long time, and we've been doing this for almost 2 decades. We are now specifically focused on detecting kind of AI-generated content, which, by the way, is not all bad. Think about grammar help for non-native speakers or machine translation or things like that. But as you say in your question, the quality and trustworthiness of our content is paramount. And so we have and will continue to put in a lot of effort here to get the best results. Okay, folks, that's all the questions we have. Thank you so much. I hope this was helpful. We'll keep doing it every quarter. But until then, thank you for using the platform. Thank you for being investors in Reddit or considering it. And take care and be well. Thanks all.